Huge movie fanatic coming to you in the cold, windy, wet month of, well, it's wet right now. I mean, it's not, the whole month isn't wet. Month of October with some, horrific horror movie reviews and a glowing jack-o'-lantern to keep you company. This is kind of more of a genre request. The Cookie Monster 70, who is a user here on YouTube, requested this, which is kind of a cool idea, just a more of a less of a genre request, me to review some Italian horror films. And, me getting into Italian horror in the mid 90s, as I stated, I think probably last year when I reviewed Suspiria and Deep Red, I kind of got into, I like Italian horror, and just by chance I've been rewatching lately some Italian horror movies just that I haven't, seen for a while. And it's October and scary, and a scary month, and well, every month's scary, but this is the month that's supposed to be scary, and I just haven't watched any of these for a long time. So I'm actually going to start off the first Italian horror movie with a movie that the Cookie Monster 70 has actually reviewed and not been none too impressed with, which is called, in America it's called Zombie, but the Lucio Fulci film, of course. In Italy it's called Zombie 2 because the original Dawn of the Dead was called Zombie in Italy, but it's called Zombie in America. This movie I first saw way back in like the mid 90s. I got this VHS tape of it because it probably had a picture of the zombie, obviously, and the famous zombie on the cover or on the back or something, and I'm like, cool, I was interested in zombies in the mid 90s and stuff, and now zombie shit's just gotten, way out of hand in my opinion, just whatever. For me personally, when stuff that I like, I got sick of zombies way before zombies got popular, but it's kind of almost ruins it, like when stuff, that you like and underground or whatever and everything now all of a sudden becomes popular. It's just like, ugh, I don't even like it anymore now. But I got sick of zombies, like I say, before zombies got popular. But I remember seeing this movie way back when, of course, before I necessarily knew anything about, Italian horror movies. Obviously, you could tell. I mean, I didn't buy it knowing it was, an Italian horror movie, so whatever, obviously when you watch it, it was English dubbed, and it's just like, it's foreign, but I didn't necessarily know, whatever. Long story short, I mean, obviously it played like a foreign movie, and, I remember being pretty like, oh gosh, because if you've never seen any Italian horror movies, I mean, holy Toledo, I mean, the violence in these things is some of the biggest, the most gruesome violence I've, seen in movies. I think, for me, Italian horror movies are some of the most violent, just got some of the most repulsive and disgusting in, what I would regard as just whatever. I can't think of the word right now. Just repulsive and disgusting. Those words work too, but just real brutal and nasty shit. So I rewatched this. I have since, many years ago got the Shriek Show came out with like a 25 anniversary DVD edition before. This is before the Blu-ray ever came out, and I got that at Half Price Books for more money than I was surprised. The sticker was still on it, and I paid over $10 for it. But Zombie, what can you say? I mean, it's got like Mia Farrow's sister, who made a brief appearance in the Woody Allen movie Manhattan, and also this British guy who will end up being, I think, in another like Zombie Holocaust, which I haven't watched, which I'm not going to review because, well, unless I decide to rewatch it, but I haven't seen it for a while, so I can't remember, so I'm not going to review that one. But it's just basically the plot of this movie. There's really, that's one of the problems with Italian horror movies, is it's just kind of like, maybe they're a little light on plot or whatever. And it's just basically about some tropical island, and this guy who's kind of like a Sean Connery lookalike. Basically, it's just whatever. There's this outbreak of zombieism on this tropical island, and then the movie starts with the famous boom 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 boom. And there's this guy in a sheet wrapped, it's just like, and it's like, the boat can leave now, till the crew. And it's just so nasty. Just the violence in Italian horror movies. It's just so. I had a word for it, but I can't remember right now. I mean, nasty is a good word, but it's just like, one thing that before I forget, I just mentioned the music. One thing that I don't want to forget to mention, which I'm not gonna, because I'm gonna mention it right now, is the music in these Italian horror movies is mostly, for the most part, just fantastic. It's just like boom, 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 boom. Well, that's just one of the things, but I mean, it's just like. I'm not gonna do it, but you can look up zombie soundtrack on YouTube, and if you haven't heard it, you can hear it. But just the music in these Italian horror movies is just awesome, and this movie is no exception. But anyway, I remember that it's kind of sad because I remember the movie being, you know, a little more entertaining than it was when I revisited more recently, and I'm just like, oh, so basically the cool thing about the movie is basically the only, in my opinion, the only real great thing about the movie besides just the music and just beautiful women is, you know, just like the zombie, you know, the sparse, not too, you know, often occurrences where you'll actually have zombie scenes and stuff like that, you know. So the movie starts with this kind of cool, you know, this yacht or sailboat thing that ends up in New York Harbor or something like that, and this famous fat zombies on there, and these cops go in and find, you know, just a hand and a bunch of huge centipedes on a piano. Oh, and the music they put there, like whoa, 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 whoa. It's just so gross. And Italian horror movies have a tendency to use things like huge centipedes, and I don't think you can watch one without seeing a whole pile of maggots at some point. And good luck watching an Italian horror movie without seeing a pile of maggots. And it's just like whoa, 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 whoa. But these movies have such a just this almost like unexplicable just aura of just dread. You know, pretty much all these Italian horror movies that I've seen, and this is no exception. It's just like, just the sense of just hopelessness and shit. And when the four principals get, you know, Mia Farrow and this British guy and this couple who they rented the boat, or they had this couple with a boat take them to Matul, I think is the name of the island, fictional, I imagine, island in this movie, where there's a zombie whatever going on, zombie sickness, and they end up going there, and just, you know, all hell breaks loose, and, you know, so I don't know. I don't think it necessarily deserves 2 stars, but I'm going to go 2 stars for Lucio Fulci's Zombie, just because of just, I don't know. It's just so classic, and you know, the scenes, just the horror scenes are very horrible. I mean, horrible in a way of just like, just nasty, grisly gore and shit. And I know the Cookie Monster 70, you know, he didn't really like this movie, which is his right, and was kind of, I think, complaining or making fun of the scene, which I think is fantastic, where, you know, the zombie hand comes through the whatever it is, and door or whatever, and pulls her head closer and closer to the splinter until it goes in her eye, and it's just one of the most horrific scenes you'd ever want to or not want to see. And it's just like, yeah, you know, the slowly coming closer thing is, you know, whatever, you know, lame or whatever, but you gotta understand, I mean, this is like Italian cinema, so I mean, it's got this cool sense of style. You know, what fun is it to just go, you know, ram the eyeball into the, you know, the shard of wood right away. You got to drag it out for as long as you can with this slow cutting back and forth to her point of view of the ever coming closer shard of wood and all this stuff. But yeah, there's a couple of naked women in this movie, which is always fun, and a bunch of zombies, and of course the very end battle where it's kind of Night of the Living Deadish, where they're holed up in the rickety makeshift hospital on the island of Matul, and try to keep all these zombies out with Molotov cocktails and shooting them to shit. But like I say, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen, I think zombies in Italian horror movies in particular, this particular one, are just some of the best looking zombies I've ever seen in movies, you know. I just think they just blow the zombies in American movies out of the water, especially the, you know, the famous, which became the famous zombie of, you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure I put a picture on here or whatever. The main zombie of this movie is just like the zombie of all zombies in a lot of ways. So 2 stars, I think that's more than it deserves, quite honestly, but just because the horrific scenes are so horrific and the zombies are so great and whatever, and a couple of nude naked women and stuff, we'll just go 2 stars for Lucio Fulci's Zombie. There's some kind of tagline, probably American version, like we are going to eat you or something like that. So thank you very much for watching this review, and I'll catch you on the next one.